Hey folks, today's video is brought to you by Upstart. Now listen up, when it comes to paying off debt, it can really feel like an uphill battle, especially if you're only making minimum payments. The interest can compound, it gets completely out of control. But don't worry, Upstart is here to help. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. And whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment. Unlike other lenders, Upstart looks at more than just your credit score, like your income and your employment history. This means they can offer smarter rates with trusted partners. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate up front for loans of between $5,000 and $50,000. You can then receive funds as fast as 1 day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today by going to upstart.com/TST. That's upstart.com/TST. Get your life back, simplify it all in one place, and get out from under that debt. Upstart.com/TST. Hey folks, welcome to the Mojave Desert, where Zack and I are on a little adventure with our friend Tim and our respective ladies. We are going to drive 570 miles on the Southern California backcountry discovery route. Now the whole trail is about 900 miles, but we don't have time for that. So we're going to do the meat of it. We're going to go through the Mojave Desert, we're going to go through Death Valley, and we're going to go over the Eastern Sierras to Lone Pine and the Alabama Hills. Zack will be driving and reviewing the 2021 F-150 FX4 with the PowerBoost hybrid system, which means the onboard generator. Very cool stuff. And I will be driving this monster. This is a Mercedes Sprinter 2500 modified by off-highway vans and available for rent through Warner Sprinters of Utah. It's got all the good things you should need for an off-road trip like this. I'll be reviewing this, he'll be reviewing that, and we will see you on the road.
I would indeed be driving that, the 2021 Ford F-150 Lariat SuperCrew PowerBoost. What's a PowerBoost? It means hybrid. This truck pairs a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 with a 35-kilowatt electric motor to make a total of 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque. That is the most power in its class. It can tow 12,400 pounds, carry an aerial atom in the bed, and it gets 24 miles per gallon in town and on the highway. Now you can get more power and better highway mileage if you opt for a diesel engine from either Ford or the competition, but the city mileage is worse, and none of those come with Ford's newest trick, the Pro Power onboard generator. Plug something into one of the sockets in the bed and it draws power from the lithium-ion battery that's on board. If the load is too high or the battery gets drained, the engine kicks on. Ford offers 3 levels of this Pro Power setup, a 2 kilowatt, a 2.4, or a 7.2. The 2 kilowatt is an option on all of the engines, but the bigger power packs require the 3.5 liter or above. My truck has the 2.4 kilowatt setup, which comes standard on the PowerBoost hybrid engine. Ford says you can simultaneously power 2 saws and an air compressor, which is great, I guess, if we want to build a treehouse out in the middle of the, right. If you opt for the big 7.2 kilowatt system, you can power things like a welder, a plasma cutter, a full camper's worth of electronics, or even power your house during a power outage. I think it's a really clever use of hybrid technology. Now, are people going to use this at the job site or out when they're camping instead of their portable generators? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Other big changes for 2021 are a couple of new driving modes, and Ford's Co-Pilot 360 system, which has radar cruise control, lane keep assist, stuff like that. Now this is a big deal because Ford is planning to roll out hands-free highway driving in late 2021, which will build on this system. But as you'll see in a bit, I'm not quite sure it's ready. Lastly, it has the FX4 package, which comes with skid plates, off-road shocks, hill descent control, and these knobby tires. There's a lot more options to cover, but we're going to do that later. Right now, let's get on the trail. Right now we're driving through Death Valley, and And this review is going to work a little bit differently than some of the one takes we've done before, because I'm going to be filming the in-car over a couple of days. One of the great kind of gifts about this experience is that I'm going to get to know this truck better and better with each day, because we're doing a lot with it. We're on the highway, we're in the city, downhill, uphill, off-road, hopefully some rock crawling, all that stuff. And you know, you're never going to get to know a vehicle better than if you use it in a lot of different environments for a lot of different reasons. So this is just going to be my initial account. This is day 2 of the trip, driving through Death Valley. What has really landed with me about this vehicle is how quiet it is. On the way out here on the 15, we were going with the flow of traffic, and my girlfriend was in the back seat, and I just noticed how quiet it was, and I whispered, and she was able to hear me. And right now, we are driving on this flat dirt road, kind of like a rally stage, across Death Valley, going 47 miles per hour. And if I whisper, I bet the GoPro mic I'm using can hear me. This truck has off-road tires. It's got a lot of other options, which we're going to get into later. But in the car, this is managing the tire and wind noise better than the Kia Telluride I had a couple of weeks ago, which really, and that car really impressed me. It's a very nice luxury vehicle, but it's much, much louder inside than this thing. And this is a off-road capable, kind of work every day, luxurious truck, and it's just whispering. I'm really, really impressed by that. Now, this is the first model year of the newly redesigned new generation of F-150. And from the outside, it doesn't look that different to the last one. It still has this stepped window, which gives you really good visibility of the side mirrors, and also any obstacles you might be trying to maneuver if you're off-roading or even just parking. And it's got some nicer lights. It's got a lot of LEDs in this one, thanks to the packages it comes with, which we will get into later, because the list of options is long, very, very long. But overall, it's a lot like the F-150 that everyone has grown to love. It's very utilitarian, it's very useful, and packaging is done really, really well. It just has a new interior. It's got this gigantic optional screen. It's a touch screen, can show me everything from navigation to media to with a power supply, where the battery's going, all that different stuff. Analog gauges are gone. They are no more. All we have here is a colorful screen. Does a really good job of being highly visible in bright sun, nighttime, all that stuff. It's set way far back in the dashboard, so it's kind of covered and shaded really well. And you can cycle through a lot of different screens, which I'll show you now. Right now I'm in off-road mode, which shows me my pitch and roll in terms of degrees. It also shows, you know, speed, trans temperature, oil, water, all those things you need to know if you're off-roading. The only thing it doesn't show me, which kind of bothers me, is the drive mode. If I switch the drive mode right now, I'm in normal. If I go left and I go to the next one over is tow haul, it goes into tow haul mode, and then it changes the gauge color, but it stops saying what mode I'm in. So if you own the car, after a little while, you'll get to know which color means what mode you're in. But at a glance, you can't tell. You have to memorize that color combination. And there's also a weird screen that's called Calm. It's just a picture of the truck. For your decor for a meditation retreat, that'd be weird. So far on this trip, we've driven on highways, we've driven on some sandy roads through this amazing Joshua Tree forest in the Mojave National Preserve. Did a little bit of light rock crawling, drove along a terrible road along some power lines, which was very, very bumpy.
It's just sending all the shit in the cabinet fucking all over. This is gnarly.
And now we're just on this dirt road through Death Valley. I haven't had too many complaints about this truck. The only concern I had when we started is that it has a very low front apron, which helps with aerodynamic efficiency and therefore miles per gallon. And I actually have the worst approach angle and the worst ground clearance in the front out of all 3 vehicles here. But it actually hasn't been a problem, to my surprise. I thought I was going to rip that off and scrape it up and have to write an apology later to Ford. But so far, not a really big deal. If you were buying this truck to take it on serious off-roading, you would clearly put a lift kit on it, some even bigger tires. You know, these Wranglers are fine, but it doesn't give you a ton of ground clearance. Thankfully for me, this has power running boards, which lift up out of the way once we're underway, so that I don't bang them on rocks like someone in their van. I hope we get to some actual moderately difficult rock trails and rock crawling, because they do want to see how this does against, never thought I'd say this, the van, and also Tim's 4Runner. That's like the benchmark. If this can go where his truck can go, it's doing a pretty good job. Well, so many different traction modes. There's a mode for slippery rain, there's a mode for slippery snow, there's mud, there's rock crawl. All of them change your throttle sensitivity, which four-wheel drive is engaged, whether it's automatic, high, or low. They adjust the traction control, they lock the rear diff or not, and all of those modes handle that by themselves. You can lock the rear diff manually if you want to, in the correct mode, not an eco mode, but you can do it if you want to. So this truck has radar cruise control, and it also has lane keep assist. And a weird thing I've noticed is that there's a big variation in the effectiveness of lane keeping assist between different manufacturers. For example, the Volvo XC60, the last one I drove, really like slalomed along the lanes, like you had, rolled a bowling ball down the lane, and they've got those inflatable things on the side. It just ping-ponged its way the whole way down the highway. Whereas Tesla, of course, stays really centered. Also Kia, the Kia Telluride I had, it was really, really good at determining where the edges of the lanes were and staying dead center even through curves. Of course, this is not me telling you to take your hands off the wheel and set those things and then read a newspaper. But if they're going to have the system built in, you want one that you don't notice is there. You want it to keep you in the center of the lane, and should you drift over to the edge of the lane, it coaxes you back very gently. You don't want it to wrench the wheel out of your hand aggressively once you get too close to the line. So, let's see how this one does. We've got cruise control set. I'm going to activate lane keeping assist on. I have my hands right here, of course. So right there, we moved a little bit towards the white line on the right. Now it's going back to the left. It's a little slow to react. It's lacking some of that like subtlety. It's lacking the subtle guidance that the good systems by Kia and Tesla have. Hi everybody, welcome to the Death Valley Dust Discovery Route of 2021. We just left Furnace Creek and now we're passing Stovepipe Wells. Always a good sign when everything around you is named after how damn hot it is. It's 80 degrees right now, which is fine. But I've been here in July filming something, and it was 127, and they said that the hottest it recorded was the year before when it was 136. So if you were a miner back in the 1800s, and someone said, hey, there's a job out west, and you asked, oh, what is it? And they said, mining gold or silver or borax. And you're like, great, sounds great. Where's it located? And they said, it's a place called Furnace Creek. If you moved here, I think you're an idiot. Because it's not called Pleasantville. That's Pleasanton, California. It's near the ocean. It's very nice. It's named Furnace Creek. And you know that it's not named that because you need to have a furnace in your house. Welcome to Sketchy Barracks, Death Valley. Population 4. Used to be 5, but then someone got killed. Died of exposure. Died of exposure. Exposure to these hands. We drove through Death Valley to an incredible place called Titus Canyon, a slalom of rocky cliffs carved by rushing water. At times, it was no wider than a 2-lane road, but it provided an opportunity to try out one of the truck's less utilitarian features. I'm not usually a big fan of sunroofs, so I don't use them, but I understand the benefit in the right setting. Wow. Wow. If you own an SUV or truck, actually a car could do this, and you haven't driven somewhere like this, you are wasting a vehicle. Go do it. We camped northwest of the canyon. A rainstorm sent us all to bed early, but the morning was just about perfect. Traveling by car really is a special thing. The variety of terrain you can see in a single day is amazing. After leaving camp, we hiked around a crater, drove to a dry lake bed covered in mysterious rocks that seemed to move themselves, summited a mountain, and then found yet another forest of knife trees. After descending from Mount Hunt, we returned to the tarmac and headed to the Alabama hills for our final night of camping. but things did not go as planned. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 4. You might notice I'm on tarmac because you can see it, and truck, and it's also evening time. I was planning to conclude this video out on the trail, but a couple things happened. We made much better time than we were expecting because we were worried about being too slow, and we did the opposite. And then when we got to our destination for tonight, the wind was blowing about 40-45 miles per hour. The temperature was in the 40s, and it was only 5 p.m. And tomorrow was supposed to be the same, just as bad. So we all took a vote and decided to drive home tonight. Kind of a bummer. I was hoping to finish this on the trail and have one more night out in the nature and the wilderness, but it would have been a miserable night full of noise. So I'm going to talk to you about the F-150 here. You've already seen it go over a number of mountain passes. You've already seen it go across the desert. I mean, the bottom line is it did all of those things flawlessly and without issue. Granted, a lot of the trail we were on were pretty simple, really. This route for the backcountry discovery, of the backcountry discovery routes, I would say was easier than either the Utah trail I've done or the Washington trail I've done. Both of those had rockier roads, more up and down elevation, higher elevation, and more mud. They're just more challenging to the vehicles, which is ironic considering we did those in crappy cars we bought on Craigslist, and for this one we brought really well set up trucks and vans and things, and there weren't that many challenges. But even with that said, I cannot believe how good a job this vehicle does of transporting humans and cargo, and it does it in a really sophisticated way, a really comfortable way. I mean, I'll just start listing things off. The regenerative braking. Every time we would go down a mountain pass, I was just driving in electric mode, and it was just doing regen and charging the battery. I didn't have to hit a button to do that. I didn't have to pull a paddle. It just knew we're going downhill. We don't need to be using gas right now. So let's just use that motor in reverse and charge the battery. It was really, really great. Engine braking. Now this truck does have like 10 different modes, different off-road things for mud and ruts and sand and snow and slippery ice, slippery rain, tow, sport, eco. I found that the mud and rut setting and the rock crawl setting and the snow setting, they softened the throttle response too much, and they made the whole truck feel much slower. They just held it in first gear. They had like a speed limiter going. So I just left it in normal and put it in 4-wheel drive here and there. But on the downhill, it would activate regen braking on its own, and it was almost had a automatic hill descent control. It has a hill descent control button right here. I used it once just to try it, but when we were going down the second to last pass coming out of racetrack, it just held the truck at 14 miles per hour. I didn't set anything. I just let off the brake, and it was using regen and engine braking and just keeping me at 14 miles per hour. Now this thing it's spec to the high heaven. I'm gonna get to the options later. I'm gonna pull over for conclusion to read you the options list because it's long and I don't wanna read while I'm driving. But this has, as far as I know, basically everything other than the extra large power pack. This has radar cruise, it has lane keep assist, it's got 360 cameras, the power running boards, upgraded lights, 10-way adjustable seats, heated cooled seats, dual zone climate control, like all the CarPlay bells and whistles, all the apps. It's a Wi-Fi hotspot. It has everything. Pretty nice interior. This is not leather. This is kind of like it's supposed to look like leather, but I think it's made of some kind of soft touch plastic. But all the things you make contact with are in the right place. The ergonomics are really good. The height of the armrest is perfect for long drives. Seats are super supportive. I would say these are, I don't know, some of the best seats I've sat in outside of a Mercedes, basically, in terms of shape, padding, and adjustability. They're comfortable for me. They're comfortable for my girlfriend. Matt liked them. Tim liked them. Everybody of different shapes, heights, etc. was comfortable. Back seats have a ton of space. Back seats also have heated seats, which is an added option. From the cabin, it doesn't feel that big. I was able to park it in a normal spot, but front ways. But if you wanted to parallel park this thing, you need a lot more room. I mean, it's a pickup truck. They're not making cars any smaller these days, so why would they make trucks any smaller? The visibility is really good, so it doesn't feel big, but it is. The transmission is a 10-speed automatic, and it's not perfect, I'm not gonna lie. When you're accelerating, the 10-speed shifts really quick and really smooth. Of course, it jumps ahead more gears than you might expect because it's trying to save gas. But when you're slowing down, especially from like 20 to 10 miles per hour, even right there, I'm slowing from 65 to 50, there's a little bit of like a clunk. And it's not a sound, but it's a feeling. You feel the brake pedal pulse and you feel the truck kind of lurch. I don't know if it's the transmission and the regen braking trying to decide whose job it is to slow the truck down. Like, is it you, is it me? Like, is it your call or my call? Your call or my call? Or it's just the transmission's programming, but that's a little bit of a hiccup. Another con is that when the door is open, the graphic that shows which door is open only shows the driver's door. So the right rear door can be open. It will say rear passenger door open or passenger door open. But the little icon is only the driver's door. And considering that this screen shows the built Ford Tough plate of steel landing on dust when you start the truck, like, it can do that, but it can't. They couldn't program in 4 individual red lines for 4 doors. I mean, was the guy working on it and then they just ran out of money and they had to run in the office and go, Ted, stop what you're doing, we're out of money. He's like, but I'm on the last part. All I have to do are make 4 little red lines for these doors. And like, sorry, we're out of money. Like, can you loan me the $5 and then I'll finish? Like, nope, sorry. What do you have? Well, I have 1 graphic and I have all the text. Like, good, cut, print, send it to the factory. So much tech, so much. Just missed it. Aside from those few cons, this truck was incredible. It was very comfortable, it was very useful, and it just made life easy. You know, we had things to store, appliances to plug in, dogs to pacify, and things that had to be loaded and unloaded from the bed every single day. The trails weren't demanding, but we definitely were, and this truck made life easy. It's not without its flaws, but if trucks are about helping you get stuff done, this is as good an assistant as one could hope for. All right, so to end this video, I want to go over the options, and I pulled over to do this because I need to read them because there's a lot of them. This truck, the 2021 F-150 4x4 SuperCrew Lariat, starts at $50,980. But the price as spec'd is $70,000. So that's $20,000 in options. Normally that's something we expect from Porsche or, well, Ferrari, but it's more like a Ferrari paint coat option. So there's a lot of stuff, and it's shown. I mean, this has been an incredibly comfortable, technologically advanced truck to travel in. It has made this entire journey incredibly easy. So let's get into it. So this has the 3.5 liter V6 PowerBoost motor with the hybrid option checked. That is $3,300 option. It has equipment group 502A, which is a lot of lighting, a lot of creature comfort stuff. Towing package, almost $1,000. Powered running boards, those are $1,200. The Ford Copilot 360 active everything, that's with all the cameras, all the radar crews, all that stuff. That's a $1,000 option. The twin panel moonroof, the very nice thing that allowed us to look at the canyons, $1,500. Interior work surface, this little laptop table is $170. It is very helpful if you need to work in the truck, I will say that. Came in really handy for dumping footage. The FX4 off-road package, $1,000. Lockable storage is $200. The power tailgate, $700. Very impressive. If you have a back injury like I do, lifting that tailgate may be a problem. The power tailgate is kind of amazing. If you don't have an injury, it's really slow to open, it's slow to close, and I worry that it will break because it's moving a lot of weight. Maybe save some money there. Lariat Sport Package appearance is $300. Wheel well liners are $180, and the bed liner is sprayed with a bunch of stuff to make it durable, and that's $600. A lot of options. You know, you can decide which ones of those you don't want or do want. This is a pretty nice truck. What I will say is that I think Ford has once again moved the pickup truck game forward. A lot of other companies caught up to them. Ram started making really, really nice trucks, incredibly comfortable inside, a lot of technology. Chevy, their 6.2 engine feels great, but this truck actually makes more power and more torque and tows more. And I think the seats in the Trail Boss I drove were not very good. But what Ford has done is made the workhorse vehicle, which is a pickup truck, more of a workhorse. They've given that horse more skills in giving it this power bed, because now all the energy we use to drive up the hill, we recover a ton of it going down with regenerative braking. It charges the lithium-ion battery, and then we get to camp, and I was able to plug in a blender, a tea kettle, charge batteries, charge cameras, all kinds of stuff by hitting a switch on the bed or in the cab. And yeah, if you draw a lot of power, it'll kick on the motor here and there to charge that battery back up. But having that convenience is amazing. And the fact that with the 2.4 power pack, it will run at max draw for 85 hours is amazing. And if you have the really big battery pack, the 7.2, it'll run at max draw for 35 hours, but that's because it can run TVs, fridges, microwaves. I mean, it can power an entire trailer that you have towed up to the mountains and that have all the conveniences of home. It can power that thing for more than a day on a tank of gas. It's a really clever thing to do with the technology that is kind of happening in cars anyway. Lots of things are getting batteries. We're heading towards electrification of everything. So if you're gonna do that, what else can you do with that technology other than just save some miles per gallon on the road? Which we did, by the way. It's amazing. We averaged 18 miles per gallon on this entire trip. That's insane. So I am very impressed with this truck. It's incredibly comfortable, easy to use. In this spec, it made the whole trip pretty simple, other than the insane wind and the crazy rain, which Ford has not figured out a way to fix yet. So thank you to Ford for letting us take this truck and getting it so very dirty. Thank you to you guys for watching and listening to the podcast and sharing and all that stuff. It makes a big, big difference. And we will see you next time.
And remember, always fight your tickets. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app, available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.